This video will explore how satisfied Clemenceau, Lloyd George, and Wilson were with the final terms of the Treaty of Versailles. Clemenceau entered the treaty negotiations determined to punish Germany for the destruction it had inflicted on France. He aimed to weaken Germany to the point that it could never pose a threat to France again. He also wanted reparations to pay for the damages caused, and he sought territorial gains. The final terms placed the blame for the war firmly at the feet of Germany, which would have been pleasing to Clemenceau as it justified harsh penalties. The treaty required Germany to significantly reduce its military, return Alsace-Lorraine to France, and accept a heavy burden of reparations for the damage caused. France also gained control of the coal resources in the German Saar region for 15 years. The final treaty gave Clemenceau much of what he wanted, but he still felt the terms were not harsh enough. He had hoped to weaken Germany further by breaking it up into smaller states, and he believed that the reparations should have been higher. Lloyd George wanted a more balanced peace than Clemenceau. His goal was to punish Germany, but not at the expense of British interests or European stability. Like Clemenceau, Lloyd George wanted Germany to pay reparations, but mainly to help rebuild Britain and satisfy public demand. However, he believed the amount should be limited as he didn't want to cripple Germany's economy as it had been an important trading partner before the war. He also wanted to reduce Germany's naval power to help maintain Britain's dominance of the seas. Control over German colonies would help expand the strength and prestige of the British Empire. Lloyd George was somewhat satisfied with the final terms of the treaty. Germany's naval power had been reduced, helping protect Britain's dominance at sea, and reparations would help cover the costs of the war. Additionally, Britain gained control over several of Germany's former colonies, helping expand its global influence. However, Lloyd George opposed the amount of reparations because he feared they would slow Germany's return as a British trading partner. He was also critical of Wilson's plans for self-determination, as they had led to German-speaking populations being included in new countries like Czechoslovakia, a move he believed could lead to future conflict. Wilson had come to the Paris Peace Conference with a desire to create a new world order which would secure global peace. His lofty ideals were summarised into his 14 points. Wilson saw a harsh treaty as a mistake that could lead to future conflict. He wanted to establish a sort of world parliament, the League of Nations, a forum for countries to come together to discuss their grievances and come to peaceful conclusions. Another key principle of Wilson's demands was self-determination, the idea that people of different nationalities should be free to choose their own government and political future, especially in the former empires of Europe. Wilson was left deeply disappointed by the final terms of the Treaty of Versailles, as many of his key principles were ignored. While the League of Nations was established, the US Senate refused to join, despite Wilson's determined efforts to gain support. Although self-determination was applied in parts of Eastern Europe, it was ignored elsewhere, with colonies denied a say in their future. Wilson also opposed the harsh reparations imposed on Germany, fearing they would lead to future conflict. Disarmament was applied only to the defeated powers, secret treaties continued, and the principle of freedom of the seas was rejected, largely due to British resistance. Yet it was impossible for everyone to be pleased by the Treaty of Versailles. Their demands were too far apart. It could only ever be a compromise peace. Some would say it was doomed to fail. Evaluating who was most satisfied by the Treaty of Versailles frequently comes up as an exam question.